All right. So I'm going to just check and see if I can figure out if we actually went live. Who is tuning in and they want to comment, please feel free to let me know. I think we're
Perfect.
live. Yeah, we're live. That's pretty cool. You can actually see yourself.
I'm
Okay.
going into my Facebook right
So,
now. I'm like, oh yes, yay, look at this. That's pretty cool.
yeah. So technology is pretty cool. So, for anyone jumping on, this is Carly. I met her. I can't even remember how I met you. I think it was like through a Facebook group or something. We connected, what, a year ago?
Yeah, it must be, eh? Oh, time flies.
Yeah. And I was kind of in the process of debating whether I was going to shut down my salon and do this full time. And we very briefly connected, but we reconnected, I don't know, 2, 3 months ago, and had a really good conversation where we just really organically hit it off. And I was just impressed by the amount of like value that you're bringing our community. So I wanted to essentially bring you on here and just kind of chat with you about what you're doing, what kind of your goals are for the industry, and essentially how you can help our industry become better. So if you want to kind of just give us a quick breakdown of who you are, what you do, that kind of thing.
Yeah, of course. It's funny, most of those words that you use, I'm like, oh, that's how I describe you. Actually, like bringing a ton of value into our community and showing people how things can be done differently. And maybe that's why we connected so well, right? So, hello, everybody. I'm going to do the awkward, like, my name is Carly Moore, my awkward introduction. I'm the owner of Your Beauty Business Academy, where I do like mindset coaching for hairstylists, basically. I love helping people leave a commission-based salon, an hourly-based salon, working for somebody else, and start their own independent beauty business in our gorgeous industry because there's so many options, right? So many options to create a lifestyle that you can design. I've been working for myself for about 12 years and it's brilliant. I work around all my kids' stuff. And it's just like, it's just peaceful. I have like 8 million words in my mind to describe it, but I'm going to say it's peaceful and it's empowering, and the control that you have on your days, like you can't. I loved working in a salon for somebody else, but it doesn't compare. It's like a whole new world, eh, Melissa?
100%. And what would you say, other than time freedom, what would you say the best part of being like self-employed is?
Okay, so the craziest thing when I remember the first day out on my own, and I was the most excited to be able to choose the music, which, which is ridiculous and it's not my answer. But I had a salon owner who used to make us listen to Lady Gaga every day. I'm going to say 2 years
Yeah,
every day.
that's
Yep,
crazy.
it's horrible.
I remember my first one was the first day I got out there, and I was like, fuck, how do I mix toner? Oh my God, I don't have somebody to run this by. I think I know what I'm doing. Oh, fuck. Let's just hope this is the right formula and I don't really mess up this girl's hair. That was my first thought that went through my mind when I was like, oh God, I'm on my own.
Every time I rip foils, I'm like, I really miss my assistant. I really miss. But now you can just buy foils pre-ripped because it's not the caveman days. Like when, how long have you been doing hair for?
Going on, okay, I've been licensed legally doing hair for about 12 years,
Right.
but I've been probably doing it closer to like 18.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, it was really different when we first started. People who worked for themselves, like there wasn't things like salon suite rentals and all of that 20 something years ago when I started. You could rent a chair in a salon, but you still had to follow a whole lot of like rules that the owners gave you. People who left the salon and worked for themselves at home, which was what I did, we were called basement Betties. And then all of a sudden, because you're not at the salon anymore, it's like you have no skills and you don't know what you're doing and you shouldn't even qualify as like a real hairdresser and like all the things. So I think like the mindset shift around that was like a huge growth in my life and like a huge change. And like that's the kind of
Mhm.
stuff that I love talking about and
Yeah.
teaching people about. Like really, you
And
don't
I
have to
think there's
follow the
a huge
rules.
difference. Sorry, I was gonna say, I think there's a huge difference in like a basement Betty and like somebody that's educating themselves, right? Like you've continued to keep up with education and trends and like everything. And I know like even with tattooing and stuff, right? Like it's taboo to be a scratcher. But there are so many people now that are opening legitimate businesses from their homes.
Yeah.
And it's so smart, so smart.
It's so smart, right? Like there's no overhead.
Yeah.
Yep. When I have a client cancel, I like throw some laundry in I have a bath at 2 o'clock every single day.
Right? You're like, my kids aren't home. I've got an hour to myself. I'm gonna take a nap.
Yeah. Hey, I've got a question for you. What is, if you could go back to when you started your business, or even just when you started doing hair, whether it was for you, whether it was for somebody else, whatever, and tell yourself one thing, like what is one thing you wish you knew when you were starting your career?
Um, Probably not to advertise discounts and promotions all the time and to get in tune with like it's okay to be expensive. That was the biggest mistake that I made with my business was I wanted to not necessarily be the cheapest in town, but I wanted to be able to support the most people. And through that, I actually had a very strange business model. I used to offer child minding services in my beauty salon, which was like a whole nother thing. The ministry and everything got involved. But anyway, we won't go on that tangent. But it it left me at a point where like I was so exhausted because I was constantly doing everything for everyone else and I didn't have the financial means to even take care of myself or my kids.
Yeah.
And then when I did decide to raise my prices, it became very, very difficult because people were after me because of my pricing and my discounts. And like I was good. Like I was a good hairdresser, but I was the cheapest in town. And I still wasn't the busiest because people also have this disassociation with why is it so cheap? Well, it
Yeah.
must not be good if it's that cheap. So if I could go back and do it all over again, I would have started with much, much higher pricing and I would have started much more with my marketing on a brand authority based level, which is essentially what I do now. Give more value than you can, take in return and start educating people because that's how you build, authority. That's how you get brands like Schwarzkopf and Joico and them to all like look at you too. Being the cheapest is not the best. What about
Well,
you?
I 100% agree with that. When I left the salon, I cut my prices. Who does
Yeah.
that? Like, they're already paying these prices to come and see me just because I moved locations. It was the craziest. But then that's all like the mindset shit, right? Like all of those
Yeah.
limiting beliefs that we don't even know, and like money consciousness and money mindset. Man, if people just knew or believed that they were actually worth charging these great prices. But that's what I tell everyone who is just starting doing hair. I'm like, don't discount, don't put your stuff on Groupon because you're just going to attract those
Yeah.
people. And then when you don't have that discount available anymore, they're going to find somebody else with it. So you're never building a loyal client base. And like, oh my goodness, building relationships and loyal clients in this business is the sustainability. Like that's the
Yeah.
difference between having stress in your business or not. Like I can't remember the last time my hair business felt stressful because I know that I have these people booked. And even like I take the summers off with my kids and people wait in the summer to come. Can you build those relationships? So that's one thing I love doing too is teaching people how to build relationships because you don't get taught any of that in school, right? It's like
No.
basic hair
You're
skills.
taught the hustle and the grind, right? You have to
Yeah,
do
F
four
that.
haircuts in 15 minutes. And like if that's the way you want to operate, then you do you, girl. But like you could do one haircut in an hour, spend time, hang out with that person, and charge the same price.
Yep.
It's about working smarter, not harder, right?
Yes, this is why we connect. This is like how what I teach my kids too. I'm like, don't like just go out. They're 10 and 10 and 12. So like they probably stare at me like I don't need to know this yet. But it's like you don't have to go out there and haul ass and grind and like if you oh this kills me. I want to make more money, so I'm gonna work more hours. I'm like, oh God, for how
Yeah.
long? Like the rest of your life? Are you gonna do that for the rest of your life? Like,
Yeah. The other one that gets me too is like I know that, a sales rep, it's their job to sell you everything under the sun. But like I find so many hairdressers are out there and they're buying all the things just because they're pretty and because their sales rep says, "Oh, you buy this new intro kit, it's going to bring you back, $2,500." But we need to learn like yes, we need to learn to charge more, but we also need to learn to be more mindful with what we're actually spending. And I can't tell you the last time, like when I was actually, in my business day to day, what the last time was that I like sat there and like went through all my numbers. And when I got to the end, I was like, wow, I am spending, 37 cents here, $1.50 over here. I have this subscription, this subscription. Like there was like $800 coming into my account every month that I had like I could have done without it. And the reality is like the tint brush that you own is not going to make or break your business. Having a glittery pink one, yes, it's pretty, but that's not what's going to make you a successful hairdresser. It's how you apply and how you build that relationship. Um, so even if you're just starting out, like you don't need to have the prettiest studio in the world. You need to have a good relationship building tactic and focus there, because if you're a startup, you might not have all this cash flow either. And that's where people get in the mindset of, oh, when I can get, X amount of money, I'm going to go out on my own. Realistically, it should be, hey, when you've built X amount of relationships,
Yep.
that's when you go out on your own. If you have to go mobile, if you have to, rent a trailer, if you have to do kitchen haircuts for the first, month and a half,
Yeah.
do whatever you got to do. But like, just be conscious of where you're spending your money.
Yes, and figure out, you said it right, like, your main goal, your main objection at the beginning of your business should be relationship building and
Yeah.
building a client base, and, like, all the mindset around all of that kind of stuff too, right? Oh my god, the one thing, energy. So, like, people, when you walk into a room and you can feel it. It either feels really, really good or you're like, I don't like this. People remember that after they leave your chair, not anything you really said to them. So if you can, they need to teach this in school, that like every single person who comes into your chair feels you. So if you're having a shitty day, grab some tools that you can kind of sort that shit out before don't just dump all your stuff on people, like, I don't know, energy and vibration, and having ways to raise that so you make people want to come back to you. Okay,
Yeah.
going back to speaking of people thinking they need to do like massive orders to stock their salon. So I'm going to show you my space. So this is my salon. It is like a teeny little room in my basement, but I made it as pretty as it can be, right? I got a chair. I've got my sink to shampoo. And this, I just got a color order today. This is it. That's it.
I mean, that's really all you need, right? Like, you could make your naturals, you can make things. Like, and
That's
get creative, make custom formulas. Like, and that was the thing that, like, we had issues in our salon where the girls wanted everything under the sun. You can make almost every other color if you have the base formulas. Like, don't spend the money.
that's like all the basic things that I need, and then I can create whatever I want.
Yeah, you have your additives and then you have your naturals, right? Like, you don't need everything under the sun. Um, oh, there was another thought that just popped into my mind and it just like went right out. Yeah,
That's
it'll
okay.
come
I
back to
feel
me.
like we have many of these because we get chatting and then we're like down this side alley and this one.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like tangent city. Oh, okay, going back to the mindset thing too. Um, the other thing I want to mention too is like in school, they don't teach you, right? Like, they teach you, here's your technical skill, here's how to book a client, here's how to quote over the phone, but they don't teach you mindset, right? And whether you believe in energy or not, like,
Yep.
you've got to look at it as like it is an actual molecule. Like, it's an energy matter. And I don't know, like, I don't know, like, I'm really bad with scientific terms and everything, but everything in the universe is made of matter. And whether you believe in actual energy, you believe in God, you believe in spirituality, whatever it is, you got to believe in like some kind of like karmatic thing, right? What you put into the universe will eventually come back. And sometimes we get all of this, nasty negative energy coming at us, and we're just like, where did we put, like, why is this happening to us? But you got to trust in the process too, that like, even if you get like a negative or nasty Nancy in your chair, like, if you put that positive energy back out, A, she's not going to want to come back. And B, like, you are going to start attracting more people in your tribe. So just like, even if you don't believe in it now, like, spend the time and learn about it. And like, I could go off on tangents and I'm sure you could too, but like, it is a legitimate thing. And my boyfriend, like, he still looks at me to this day where I'm like batshit crazy when I start talking about this stuff. But I'm like, I believe in signs. Like, I 100% believe in signs. And sometimes when you're creating such resistance, you're actually going to make it harder for yourself when you're just like refusing to do those simple little things, like, send a postcard to somebody. So it's like, now you're fighting to build a clientele because you just don't, like, just try it, just humor it. Like, send
Yep.
a postcard to every client for the next 3 weeks and watch what happens. You will be blown away by the outcome of it.
Yes, like 1,000% yes, right? Like attracts like, everything's energy. And you're right, whether you believe it
Yeah.
or not, literally everything has a vibration and the same ones attract the same ones. So you're right. If you're sitting there if in your head right now, you're going, "Ah, I'll never have that client base. I don't think I'll ever make X amount of money. I'm going to be working forever for so long." That literally, yes, you're right. Whether you believe that's
Yeah.
what it's going to be, or whether you believe you are going to grow this beautiful client base and have this sustainable business, like whatever you believe to be true for you is going to come true.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
it's so hard to believe in it when it's not happening in the
yeah,
current moment. Like, and again, whether you believe in God or some kind of deity or whatever it is that
Whatever.
you believe in, like, try and have some faith. Like, every day I get up and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make, $10,000 this month by myself with no people. And like, eventually, like, it started happening. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make $20,000 a month and it's gonna happen. And my boyfriend looked at me, he's like, you're not making 20 grand a month. And I was like, no, it's gonna
Actually,
happen. But I
yeah,
keep having to tell myself this over and over
yeah,
again. And the reality is too, like with mindset work, you're gonna often have these like resistance blocks where you're like, I can't make $20,000 a month. That's gonna make me a nasty, evil human. Like money doesn't grow on trees, but like these are the things that you've got to get past.
yeah,
And having money doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you, more capable of helping others. It makes you more capable of supporting the clients that you have. Mary came in, she had a really shitty day. Well, you know what? You just banked 20 grand last month. Your hair's on me.
yeah, yes.
And
It's
you've now
insane.
made a fucking woman's day, right? And that's where it comes down to the more money you can collect, the better person you can actually become.
It's wild, the money mindset, like the limiting beliefs around money that people have. Actually, I read a cool stat, and I didn't read it. Someone told me the stat the other day that 95% of people are in the same income bracket as their parents.
Yeah.
We stay in that same because we're so programmed to think that like that's it and that's our glass ceiling. And I don't know if it's that you don't deserve better. I don't know if it's that you were told rich people are greedy, like whatever. There's a really amazing book called The Secrets of a Millionaire's Mind. Like it's teeny, it's little, you could read it in a couple of days, but it kind of unpeels all the layers of like garbage and
Yeah.
shit that we believe. For why? Because other people put that shit in our minds when we were little. Like it's crazy. And
Yeah.
then that blocks us from being as successful as we want to be. Like, I don't know. It's wild.
Yeah. Well, like, and I know for me, like my big one was when I was a kid, my mom would only put $15 in the gas car cap of the car. And she would do it every week. And she'd be like, no, we don't have that. We don't have it. But then she'd have to go fill the car up 3 times. And I'm like, just put the $45 in the car. Like you're gonna put it in the car anyways. But she was so like, I need to hold on to this money because like it's not gonna go. But you've got to trust, right? Like, and you've got to know that like it's okay. I'm gonna put it out, but it's gonna come right back to me. And if you can actually start to believe that,
Yep.
like it will happen. But trusting in the process when you're like, it's gonna like it's so hard to be like, it's gonna happen, and then it doesn't happen instantly. You're like, oh, this is bullshit. Like this isn't gonna work. But you've got to retrain your mind because
Yeah, because then people
it,
give up and it's never going to happen. And I think it's hard too because we're in a society where everything's right now, right? You're like, oh, I want that. Go on your phone, order it from Amazon. It's at your door tomorrow. But it's
yeah.
that patience and that trust in the process and like keeping your, it sounds like I'm farting. I'm in my salon chair with my slippers going against it.
It's okay. I've got my squeaky chair going
Okay,
too.
perfect. In case you're over there, like, what is happening? Is that like keeping your mind? I talk to people a lot when they're opening, like, want to start their own salon too. Keep your mind in the picture, like that clear, crystal clear picture of not just what you want your business and your life to look like, but like that feel. You got to add emotion into it, right? So every day, whenever that doubt sets in, like you go right back to that place. And the how doesn't really matter. If you believe that that can happen and you focus your energy on that all the time, all day long, over and over and over, like we're manifesting our lives anyways. We manifest shit all day long. So you might as well be aware of your mindset and your thoughts and manifest what you want. I don't
Yeah,
know. And then
100%.
you said it earlier, taking those little baby steps just to get there. That's all you have to do. Just like,
Yeah.
who is it? Robin Sharma. Oh my God, I love Robin Sharma. The monk who sold his Ferrari. I don't know if anybody knows, best book. He says, what does he say? Like teeny daily micro steps consistently done over time lead to macro results. And it's true. You talk to any successful person, they had a clear vision of what they wanted and they took the little steps. Five, like I even say, like it's like 10% those little steps, 90% get your shit straight in your head.
Yeah.
Our minds are so
100%.
powerful.
And it's funny, like somebody said to me the other day, manifestation is almost like ordering food at a restaurant. And you have got to tell the universe exactly what you want and you got to get real fucking clear on it because if you don't, it's going to throw something at you that you think you wanted, but it's not going to look the way that you wanted. So if you go to a restaurant and you say, I'm hungry, bring me food, well, they might bring you a cheeseburger and you're going to sit there and be like, well, I'm vegan. I'm not going to eat that. Well,
Yes.
how did they know that? right? So like for me, I've always wanted, a house for my kids, like a freestanding house. And I pictured it kind of being in the boonies, and like I live in Barrie. And up until recently, I was like, I can't leave. I can't close my salon. This is my life. And I was actually watching a video, and the guy's name is like Eddie something. And it was a short little 60-second reel. And he was like, if you don't like the way your life is right now, what are you going to do to change it? And I just like, it just clicked right there. And I was like, what am I going to do? I was like, I'm going to shut my salon down and I'm going to move out east. And within 2.5 weeks, I have closed my salon. I have found a new place to live, and I move in a week and a half. I was able to get out of a lease. Like, this is happening in like under 60 days. And my boyfriend's like, what the fuck? Like, slow down. And I was like, you know what? It just takes that belief that you can do it, because
And
you
that,
can, like, you got to figure it out.
yep, and that decision, that, like, I think it all starts with decision, like, "No, fuck, I need to change. This is what I want." And you decide, and then you believe.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it could be going self-employed. It could be that you're trying to grow your clientele. But
Yep.
like, what concrete actions are you taking to make this, whether you want to call it a manifestation or a dream, or like, your destiny, whatever it is that you want to call it, what steps are you taking to actually make it happen? Because things don't just literally fall out of the sky. Like, you have to
Yeah.
and that's where I think people get confused with manifestation, right? Is if I just say, oh, I want this, I want to be fully booked, it's not just going to happen. Like, you have to do things to make it happen. But when you have this clear vision, the steps that, are so repetitive and so mundane, and, the bullshit that you got to grind through every day, it's
Yeah,
just a little bit more tangible when you can see that goal at the end, right?
definitely.
Yeah. So, like, for somebody that's going out on their own, do you have thoughts of like when they should look at going out on their own, or do you think it should be like day one? Like, where do you think a person should be when they're looking at going on their own?
It's funny, I really think that that depends on the person, and again, how strong their beliefs are and how hard they work. So I'm gonna
Mhm.
say for the average person with the average work ethic and the average mindset, if they can get into a really great salon and learn everything they can from everybody and start building their client base there, that's probably their best bet, to go there, learn how to build these loyal relationships. And you don't need a huge clientele when you go out on your own, but you've got to have something, right? Now, in saying that, I have two really great friends that hopped into entrepreneurship right out of school, but they continue to train with online training. They continue to take classes at their local, like, color stores, whatever. And then
Mhm.
they super worked on relationship building, and they built up clientele super quickly. Because really, whether you're at a salon or whether you're working from home or whether, like, whatever it is, you've got to build a loyal client base anyways. Some people can
Yeah,
do it on their own, and some people need that help. So I really think it depends on the person. But that
yeah,
you need to know that you can do it.
100%. I think once you have a strong technical foundation, like, I wouldn't say, turn around and open a salon by yourself if you don't know how to do a haircut. Like,
Yeah,
go and get the mentorship and the technical training
that you need to
so
know what
that
you're
you can cut a straight line, you can do some highlights, like you can do a facial, whatever it is that you're doing. Don't just like launch. Um, but it's funny because like I know that you're kind of in network marketing too, and I wanted to bring this up because there's a girl that I follow on Instagram, and her name is Jessie Lee Bossley,
doing.
and
Fucking love Bossly.
she's a network marketer. And this girl, she owns like Ferrari dealerships, she owns hair salons, like she owns everything, but the girl has it down. Like, she understands that no matter what she does, it's about building a relationship.
Yep,
And I don't care what business you're in, like whether you're a lawyer, a dentist, a
doesn't matter.
hairstylist, an accountant, your job is to build a relationship. Whether you
Yep,
sell a protein shake, a workout program, like, unless you're in the back end coding computer systems and somebody's handing you jobs, you need to learn how to build relationships.
100%.
And you need to learn how to build boundaries around building relationships too.
That's a whole other. Can that be our next live
Yeah.
together?
I actually have a really good connection to a girl that focuses just on boundaries. So maybe I'll pull her into that conversation as well, because it's so easy to get walked on.
And it happens to the best of us.
Yeah. I remember with my daughter, I was 3 days out from labor. I just had a C-section. I remember standing in my home salon. I didn't have a bra on, and this guy shows up for a haircut. And I was like, I can't do it. And he's like, well, like, I'm here. And I was like, I just had a baby. He's like, it's fine. I'll hold the baby. I was like, I just had a C-section. My organs were on the table like 3 days ago. And he's like, well, like, but like, and I was like, And I like at that point in time, because I was a
You
people
did it.
pleaser, I fucking did it.
I know.
And I charged him $20 and I hobbled around in so much agony and pain. And like I'm sure you maybe not quite that graphic, but I'm sure you've had moments too, right? Where you're like, "Yep, yep, no, I'm good." Like cuz we're all people pleasers.
There was this guy who used to like try to touch my crotch over the side of the chair. And I never set boundaries around it. I was like new and was like, oh my God, am I gonna get in trouble? Or like maybe I need him to like keep coming for my like, and I was 19. So now I would have stabbed him in the side of the head with my scissors.
Did he at least
But
tip you well?
when I was a teenager, I worked at this pub in town and we had to wear these teeny little shirts that said, oh shit, what did they say? One said, sorry about the service, but at least I'm cute. And one said, tipping is not a city in China. Oh, one of them said, shaky staff is like a perfect pint of beer, a whole lot of body and great head. So at like 17 years old, here's us walking around with these shirts, like
I'm sure your
speaking of,
parents were so proud in that moment.
oh my God, I'm so mad. But speaking of like boundaries, and even like we could kind of put that towards like that man was setting the worst. There was no boundaries for his business, for his staff, for his employees, right? And like I'm
Yeah.
sure that we've all been in workplaces like that or salons where there's no boundaries set for anybody and then it's a fucking shit show. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. You got to set your own boundaries. They're huge, especially when
Yeah.
you're going out on your own or if you are have people employed for you, like teach them how to set
Yeah.
boundaries. That's so important. That's a whole other live we got to
It
do.
totally is.
All right.
So we've been going for about half an hour. So I think I want to leave you with the last question because you'd thrown this one at me. So I'm going to ask you, what's the craziest thing that you've ever seen in a salon?
I've been waiting this whole time and you got there
I
first.
know.
The craziest thing I've ever seen in the salon. I'm not ready because I was supposed to ask you, Melissa.
All
Um,
right. Well, you think about it and I'll tell mine because I knew that this was going to come up. So, um I had just started and I started at one of those like chain ones. So it was a first choice. And I was there for like a month and a half and I actually had the cops come in and arrest this girl out of my chair. So she had like a full-blown like platinum card bleach out on her head. And I didn't know what I was doing at that time because I was so new that I had 40 volume on her head. And the
on
cops were like,
yourself.
"Oh, we've got to take her." And I was like, "No, like you can't take her. Like her hair's gonna fall off her head." And they're like, "No, we got to take her." And I'm like, "No, you gotta let me wash her hair." So I had like six cops standing in a circle with me while I was washing out this girl's hair. I don't know what she did, but they hauled her ass out, soggy orange patchy hair. And my manager was like, "Well, did she pay?" And I was like,
Fucking pay.
"Yeah,
And they never told you what she did? Oh,
no." I mean, it must have been pretty bad for them to like pull her out like that.
damn
But I
it.
was like, "This is my license." Like, no, like I can't. Just let me wash it out. But it was so scary having six cops just stand there and like watch me. And I was like so new. And I had like when I first got in the industry, I like and just in general as a teenager, I had severe anxiety. Like social situations stressed me out.
You became a
Not so much now
hairstylist.
because I'm a loudmouth and I've gotten over it, but I was terrified. Like I thought I was gonna piss my pants right there because I was shaking. Like it was scary.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh, I had somebody once bring in her old breast implant. And as I'm like standing here doing her highlights, she got her breast implant out of her purse and then reached up inside my shirt and stuck. And I had like this one huge, huge boob on this side, and then like my no boob, right? Like I'm like rib. And she
Just
was
no
like,
warning. Like
no, right. Well, so I've been doing her hair for years, and she always talked about how I should get my boobs done. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't spend money on brows. Like, I don't really care. It's not my thing. And
yeah.
she's like, I'm going to show you next time I'm in. Yep, just full. Like it used to be in her body. It was in her body, and then she shoved it in between my boob and my bra. And like I've got color in my hand. Like it was crazy.
Well, and you're like, why are you reaching out my shirt in general? Like whether you've got a breast implant or not. Like
Yeah, it's weird. Actually, that's not the part that bothered me. Which is now I need to like think about this. I'm like, do I really not care that people jam their hands in my shirt without asking? I was
I mean,
just
we
worried
just
about
talked about
you.
boundaries, Carly.
Yeah, bring your boundary girl on. I need to be on that call. This was wonderful.
Yeah, it was fun.
Oh,
Okay, so if people want to find you, your Instagram handle is Carly Ann Moore.
yep, same as my name. My Facebook, my Instagram, Carly Ann Moore. Hop on over.
Awesome. And then make sure you send her a friend request, follow her on Instagram. And if you're catching the replay and there's something that we didn't specifically hit here that you have questions for, reach out to either me or Carly. We're happy to set up a phone call with you to kind of go over any of the questions that you have. And then my goal is to hopefully, knock on wood, I'm trying to commit to this. However, I'm in a cross country move, that I'm going to be showing up here every Monday at noon. With the next couple of weeks pending, I've got speakers lined up. However, if life falls apart moving, 3,000 K with kids in the car, I will keep you guys posted, but that is my goal and my commitment. But make sure you follow Carly because she also does a whole bunch of different things with different industry professionals. Like, she's a really good resource to have in the back of your pocket. And she knows a lot of people too. If she's not, the right resource for you, she probably has somebody up her sleeve too.
Thanks.
But thank you for being on. And
Thank
I'll
you so
connect
much,
with
Melissa.
you regarding that girl too, so that you can, she's just a fun person to have in your life regardless.
Perfect. I love it. You always know all the people. I feel like if there's ever anything somebody needs, message Melissa and be like, I need this. And if she can't help you, which she probably can, she can hook you up with exactly the person who can. So
It's funny that you say that. So that's partially why we're moving into the boonies, because once in a blue moon, I'd like to go to Walmart in my pajamas. And I can't do that here. Like, I went to the grocery store yesterday and I ran into my first ever boyfriend and I was like, okay, okay, this is
are you like,
this
am
is
I
where we're
wearing
at.
clothes? Yes, okay.
And I was like, oh, okay. And then we went over to a pet store and I ran into somebody else and I'm like, oh, for the love of cherry goodness, I just want to get in, get out. I look like a homeless person today. All right, this is how it is, but it is what it is.
Well, I
All
hope you
right.
enjoy the rest of your day.
We'll see you guys later.
Bye.